I find sometimes with my homemade compost that I don't get the germination rates that I want. Coco and Coir have kindly sent me one of their coir based compost blocks. These are blocks that you soak in water. In today's video I'm going to compare the Coco and Coir compost with my own homemade compost. Coir is a peat-free alternative to a lot of the compost that you'll find in supermarkets and in garden centres and online too. Peat bogs lock in a lot of carbon dioxide, and if they're mined, which they are at the moment in big amounts, then that carbon dioxide is released and it contributes to greenhouse gases. You actually don't need peat to create a good compost, as we all know because we make our own compost in our compost bins. Today we're going to test out the Coco and Coir compost to see what kind of results I get with that, and we'll compare that to my homemade compost too. The beetroot that I sowed a few weeks back has come up really well in the coir based compost pots, and this is coir compost from Wilko. Now as you can tell, I'm filming this over probably about a week. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some really quick, fast germinating crops. I'm going to look at some lettuce, and I'm also going to look at some radish to set up in the small space garden today, and they should be up within 3 to 5 days. Benefits that I can already tell you about coir based compost is that it is much easier to get hold of and carry upstairs and get into your gardens or get onto your balconies if you haven't got the space to make your own compost or you haven't got transport.
The Coco and Coir Coco Grow comes in a really easy box, and you just slide the block out so there's no plastic or anything involved, and then it's on to soaking it in water. Now I'm being really careful with the water here, so I'm not adding loads in. I did that once and I ended up with a very sludgy mess. With this you can just add the water to the coir and it's ready to go already. So all you need to do is put your seeds on top and then cover it with some of that moist compost again. First up, I'm testing my radish seeds, and in these two we'll put the lettuce. And now we wait to see which one will germinate better. I actually experimented with coir compost before, and I've got some experiments that I want to show you in this video, just so you can see the quality of the coir in comparison to just normal homemade compost. These beetroot were sown probably about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, maybe slightly longer actually. But they are looking fantastic. So there's about 6 or 7 in this pot, just a normal 35 centimetre pot, and this is full of Wilko Coir compost. So it's slightly different. Also given to me as part of a little promotion I did for them, but I wanted to see what it was like, and this is kind of the results behind that video really. You can see they're looking quite good. Yeah, they're starting to bulb up a bit. I don't really get lots of good luck with beetroot, so this will be interesting to see how they do. But it looks healthy. The top growth is good, and I would expect to get some roots off of these probably in like a month or 2. Again, this is just proof that lettuce, this is all Lollo Rosso, a really good variety, and actually it's starting to bolt a bit. So you can grow this like cut and come again, which is really good. So you just get your scissors and you just chop through and take the leaves. That's why I've done it in this sort of container. Again, coir compost, but this is the Wilko stuff, and it's grown really well. Lots of really good growth. So that would be perfect for a windowsill or a small space garden. Hello everyone, it's been about 4 or 5 days since I sowed my seeds, and we're going to go and have a look and see what the results are between the coir compost and my homemade compost. Immediately you can see these are the coir compost, so this was lettuce and this was radish. And if we come over here, some of this, the lettuce seeds are starting to germinate here. But they're a bit slower. It's dry on top, but there is still a little bit of moisture under there. Whereas if you look over here, this is very moist, so it's definitely held that really well. And then you can see where some of the radish seeds have tried to come up, and there's a few here, so there's probably about 3 or 4 compared with about 5 or 6 that are coming up over here. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there's quite a few coming up there. So on first appearances, this looks like the coir does a lot better at holding moisture, which is key if you're trying to germinate your seeds, and it's definitely something that I'm going to look at going forward. It's really good to hear that as well, I think, because obviously we always hear a lot about home compost and how it's good to make it, and that's great, you know, but if you haven't got the facilities to hand, then you want something good, an alternative to use. I would definitely recommend this coir compost. So I've tried it. You can see the lettuce here, that's one there, and then obviously you can see the results there on my home compost. Obviously I think, you know, you can use compost, and I will still use compost, my own compost, but it does take a lot more watering, and I think it takes a lot more maintenance to manage it. So if you are short on time, then I do think things like this coir compost, like I say, it's been quite moist, it's still quite moist, and it'll probably continue to be. I mean, that feels very wet, so that's going to be, I mean, that feels perfect. So I would say maybe two or 3 days before I might need to water that, especially if we get any more rain.
I'm really impressed with the coir compost. It's definitely a good alternative, and if you can't make your own home compost as well, then it's a really good thing to buy and use at home. Where I found it was really useful was that where I'd sow a scattering of lettuce seeds or radish seeds, a lot more of them came up in the coir compost than they did in my home compost. Now that might be the quality of my home compost, but that's something to bear in mind, because home compost, you know, do you want to take the risk with that, or do you actually want to get something that you know is going to work? I'd rather have something, actually, sometimes I'd rather have something that gives me a really good first sort of tray of lettuce seedlings than have hundreds of them or none at all, because it takes time out of our growing journey and it means that it slows us down. So it's good to have something reliable to depend on occasionally when you want a very big crop to come up. And I'm definitely going to purchase some more coir compost in the future. I think I'll use it for a lot of my very sort of seedlings maybe that don't come up so much, and also for scattering seeds as well, so things like lettuce and radish that I can grow, crop really quickly and plant out into the ground. I think it'd be really good for those kinds of vegetables. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it useful, and if you did, don't forget to hit the like button down below. It helps to send it out to more people, so hopefully I can inspire and encourage more gardeners in the community. Let me know in the comments below, how do you find coir compost? I'd love to hear your reviews, your thoughts as well, because it's something that I'm still considering, you know, whether I'm going to go fully into it or whether I'm going to sort of try and work on my own home compost. If you'd like to check out any more of my videos, you can find them over here. I will see you in the next video. Bye!